Right now, you feel like a ghost in her world. You're standing right in front of her, yet you feel like you're fading into the background, becoming a blur she looks right through. You think she doesn't see you, and that realization cuts deep. It makes you feel small, irrelevant, and like the battle is already over before you've even had a chance to fight. You've convinced yourself that being invisible is your greatest failure, that it's a sign you've already lost the game. But I need you to stop right there and listen closely, because what you perceive as your biggest weakness is actually the foundation of your greatest strength. Most men panic when they feel they're losing a woman's attention. They get louder, they get more aggressive, and they try to force themselves back into her line of sight. They become desperate to be noticed, not realizing that by begging for eyes on them, they are actually lowering their value to zero. The truth is that feeling of being lost or invisible is exactly where your real power begins. When you feel like you've already lost, the fear of losing her starts to die, and that is a massive turning point. Up until now, you've been operating from a place of scarcity, terrified that one wrong move will make her disappear forever. But if you already feel invisible, you have nothing left to lose, and a man with nothing to lose is the most dangerous and attractive man in the room. This is the moment where you stop performing. This is where you stop the pick me dance and the constant reaching out for crumbs of her time. You are here right now because you are exhausted. You're tired of the cold distance, the deafening silence after a text, and the soul crushing feeling that you're slowly being erased from her life. You're here because something inside you knows that the way you've been living isn't working, and you're ready to flip the script. Before we dive into how we're going to weaponize this invisibility, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel isn't about fluff or feel good lies. It exists for one reason and one reason only: to take that feeling of being less than and transform it into an undeniable, grounded strength. We are going to take that silence she's giving you and turn it into a vacuum that pulls her curiosity in. We are going to take that distance you're feeling and turn it into a space where you can finally rebuild the man you were before you let her opinion define you. You've been looking at her for so long that you've forgotten to look at yourself. You've been so worried about whether she sees you that you haven't noticed you've stopped seeing your own worth. It's time to stop worrying about being a background character in her story and start becoming the lead in your own. This isn't just about getting a girl, it's about a total shift in your internal gravity. When you feel invisible, you're actually in the perfect position to undergo a silent, powerful transformation. Think about it. If she's not watching you right now, you have the freedom to change, to grow, and to evolve without the pressure of her judgment. You can disappear into your work, your fitness, and your purpose. You can build a version of yourself that is so high value and so centered that when you finally do reappear in her world, you aren't the same guy who is begging for a like or a hello. You become a complete stranger to the version of you that she thought she could ignore. That invisibility is your training ground. It's the dark room where you develop your focus. It's the quiet before the storm. We're going to use this time to make you so solid and so self-sufficient that your presence becomes a privilege, not a given. Stop mourning the fact that she isn't looking and start being grateful for the silence, because in that silence, you are going to find the man she can never afford to lose. Let's get real about why you feel like you're running a race that has no finish line. You want her attention, you want her to choose you, and you want to be the one she thinks about before she goes to sleep. But right now, you are caught in the chasing trap, and it is suffocating the very thing you're trying to build. You think that if you just do a little more, send one more clever text, or show her just how much you care, she'll finally see your worth. But you're doing it all backwards. Every time you double down because she hasn't responded, every time you try harder to win her over, you are actually sending a loud, clear signal of low value. You are telling her that your time, your energy, and your attention are cheap. You're acting like a salesman who is desperate to close a deal because he knows his product isn't actually worth the price tag. And she feels that. She feels the heavy, cloying weight of your effort, and instinctively, she backs away. You can feel that gap growing, can't you? There is a physical tension in the distance between you two, and it's there because you've made yourself small. When you chase, you're essentially saying, "You are up here, and I am down here," begging for a moment of your time. You've put her on a pedestal, and from that height, all she can do is look down on you. You've become a predictable element in her life, the guy who is always there, always trying, and always seeking. The harder you push, the more she feels the need to retreat just to find some breathing room. You have to realize a fundamental truth about human nature. Women don't want what chases them, they want what challenges them. This isn't some toxic dating advice or a pickup artist trick. It is a biological reality. A woman wants a man who has his own world, his own standards, and a life that doesn't stop moving just because she hasn't texted back. She wants to feel that being with you is an earned experience, not a foregone conclusion. This isn't about playing games or using pull away tactics to manipulate her emotions. It's about your actual presence. When you try to convince a woman of your value, you have already lost it. Think about that for a second. Truly valuable things, gold, diamonds, high end real estate, never have to argue for their worth. They don't send follow up texts asking if you're still interested. They simply exist, and the world recognizes what they are. When you start explaining why you're a good guy or trying to prove your loyalty, you are essentially admitting that your value isn't obvious. You are arguing from a position of weakness. Value doesn't explain itself, it doesn't need to. If you have to convince her to like you, you are essentially telling her that her intuition is wrong, and that is a battle you will lose every single time. The moment you step out of the chasing trap is the moment you reclaim your dignity. You have to stop being the guy who is always available and start being the guy who is accountable to his own life. When you stop the chase, something incredible happens. The pressure vanishes. Suddenly, she isn't being hunted anymore. She has the space to actually miss you, to wonder what you're doing, and to feel the lack of your presence. By stopping the chase, you stop making yourself small. You stand up, you regain your full height, and you start moving in your own direction. If she wants to be part of that journey, she will have to move to keep up with you. That is the only way to build real attraction. You aren't a puppy begging for a scrap of attention. You're a man with a destination. Stop arguing for your worth and start living it. The chase ends when you decide that your time is the most valuable thing you own, and you stop giving it away to someone who treats it like it's free. Let's talk about the silent killer of attraction, being safe. You've been told your whole life that being the nice guy, the one who is always there and always agrees, is the way to a woman's heart. But I'm here to tell you that when you are always available and always agreeable, you aren't being kind, you're being forgettable. You think you're showing her loyalty, but what she actually sees is a man with no backbone, no personal mission, and no life of his own. By saying yes to everything she wants and dropping your plans the second she snaps her fingers, you have effectively removed all the tension from the relationship. You've become the human equivalent of a piece of furniture, comfortable, reliable, but completely ignored until someone needs to sit down. You aren't the main event. You've become the background noise. The hard truth is that you've turned yourself into the backup plan. You are the guy she calls when her first choice is busy, or when she's bored and needs a quick ego boost, because she knows with 100% certainty that you will answer. There is no mystery left in you. There is no magnetic pull, because there is no resistance. Think about it. Why would she wonder what you're doing or fear with if she knows exactly where you are waiting for her? Attraction requires a certain level of uncertainty. It needs that spark that comes from not knowing exactly what's going to happen next. By being safe, you've extinguished that spark. You've handed her the map, the keys, and the GPS to your entire soul, and now she's bored because there is no territory left for her to explore. Humans are hardwired to value what they have to work for. We don't cherish the air we breathe because it's always there, but we would give everything for a single breath if we were underwater. When you hand yourself over on a silver platter, you are telling her that your time and your presence are cheap. You've made it so easy for her that she doesn't have to invest anything to keep you. And when there is no investment, there is no value. By bending yourself into whatever shape you think she wants, changing your opinions to match hers, liking what she likes, and avoiding any kind of disagreement, you haven't made her love you more. You've actually removed the man from the equation and replaced him with a boring reflection of her own needs. She doesn't want to date a mirror. She wants to date a person. When you lose your edges just to please her, you become a blur. There is nothing for her to discover anymore because you've revealed everything and sacrificed everything just to stay in her good graces. You think you're building a bridge, but you're actually digging a hole. She needs to feel that you have a core that cannot be shaken, a set of values that you won't compromise, and a life that continues to move forward whether she is there or not. If you are always available, you are essentially saying that your time is worthless. If you are always agreeable, you are saying your thoughts are irrelevant. Stop being the safe bet and start being the man who respects himself enough to have a no in his vocabulary. Real attraction isn't found in being a placeholder, it's found in being a person of substance who isn't afraid to stand alone. If there's nothing left for her to earn, there will soon be nothing left for her to want. Take a long, hard look at the man who actually occupies her mind when she's staring at her phone or lying awake at night. I can promise you right now, he isn't some flawless superhero. He isn't necessarily the richest guy in the room, and he isn't the one with the most perfect life. He's the magnetic man, and his power doesn't come from what he gives her, but from what he refuses to give up himself. This man has boundaries that are made of steel. While most guys are busy negotiating their dignity just to get a like or a date, this man has a line in the sand that he will not cross for anyone. When something doesn't align with his values or his schedule, he says no. And here is the kicker. He says it without a hint of guilt and without writing a 3-paragraph essay to explain himself. He doesn't feel the need to justify his existence or his choices to her because he isn't looking to her to be his judge. He knows that the moment you start over-explaining your boundaries, you've already given her the power to negotiate them. The magnetic man is a beautiful problem because he is the one thing she cannot fully control or predict. In a world full of men who are desperately trying to be enough for her, he is the only one who is already enough for himself. He exists completely independently of her opinion. If she thinks he's great, he keeps moving forward. If she thinks he's arrogant or doesn't like his choices, he still keeps moving forward. His emotional state isn't a roller coaster that she operates with a single text message. Because she can't put him in a box, because she can't figure out exactly how to fix him or own him, she becomes obsessed with understanding him. He represents a challenge to her intuition. Most men are an open book written in large print. He is a mystery with missing pages that she feels compelled to fill in. He isn't performing for her approval. He isn't an actor on a stage waiting for her to clap so he can feel successful. He is grounded in his own mission, his own work, and his own brotherhood. This man is willing to walk away the very second a situation no longer serves his growth or respects his standards. That is the ultimate magnetic trait, the genuine, non-negotiable ability to leave. When you are willing to walk away, you aren't being mean. You are showing the world that you value your peace more than you value anyone's company. This creates a powerful, primal desire in a woman. She realizes that she has to show up as her best self just to stay in his orbit. He doesn't try to be attractive. He is attractive because he refuses to compromise his identity for the sake of a relationship. He isn't a chameleon shifting colors to blend into her world. He is the sun, and she is a planet that starts to feel the pull of his gravity. He doesn't seek to win her because he's too busy winning at his own life. Desire isn't built on compliments or flowers. It is built on respect. And a woman can only truly desire a man she respects, and she can only respect a man who respects himself more than he fears losing her. That unwillingness to compromise, that refusal to bend his life into a shape that fits her whims, is exactly what creates that deep, magnetic pull. It's the feeling that he is a solid rock in a world of shifting sand. He offers her a world to join, not a void to fill. When she sees that his mission comes first, she doesn't feel neglected. She feels safe because she knows that a man who won't betray himself for her is a man who won't betray his principles for anyone. That is the man she can't stop thinking about. That is the man who doesn't have to chase because the world is already trying to catch up to him. It is time to stop treating your attention like it is a free commodity that you just hand out to anyone with a smartphone. Right now, you are devaluing yourself every single hour of the day. When you send those good morning texts to a woman who hasn't earned them, or when you reply to her messages within 30 seconds while she takes 6 hours to get back to you, you are screaming to the world that your time is worthless. You think you're being attentive or sweet, but to her, It reeks of a man who has nothing better to do. It signals that you are sitting by your phone, waiting for her to give your life meaning. This doesn't make her feel loved, it makes her feel suffocated. Every unearned message you send carries the invisible weight of your expectations. She can feel the please like me energy behind every notification, and that pressure is exactly what is repelling her. It creates a dynamic where she is the prize and you are the fanboy, and no woman is ever truly attracted to her biggest fan. You need to pull back immediately, and I'm not talking about playing some childish, no contact game for 3 days just to get a reaction. I'm talking about a total reclamation of your life. You need to take your attention off of her and put it back where it belongs, on your own growth, your own bank account, and your own physical body. When you are obsessed with her every move, you are essentially living your life through her. You've stopped being the protagonist of your own story and started being a supporting character in hers. That has to end today. Start building your day around your purpose and your goals. If you have a deadline, that comes first. If you have a workout scheduled, that comes first. If you're building a business or learning a skill, that comes first. Your phone should be a tool for your success, not a leash that she uses to keep you in her pocket. When you make this shift, the entire energy of the situation changes. You stop being the hunter, and because you've stopped hunting, you stop being viewed as prey. Think about it. A hunter is always looking, always chasing, and always hungry. That energy is loud and desperate. But a man on a path is different. A man on a path is moving towards something greater than a single person's approval. He is focused, he is driven, and he is occupied. When you truly commit to your own life, you naturally become less available. You aren't ignoring her to be mean, you're simply too busy winning to be at her beck and call. This is where the magic happens. This is the exact moment when the silence you've created starts to work in your favor. Suddenly, she notices the shift. She realizes the good morning texts have stopped. She sees that you aren't the first person to like her photos anymore. She notices that when she does reach out, you take your time to respond because you are actually doing something important. In that space you've created, that gap of attention, her curiosity finally has room to grow. She starts wondering where you went. She starts wondering who you're with and what has changed. For the first time, she has to actually consider your value because it's no longer being shoved in her face 24/7. By reclaiming your attention and investing it back into yourself, you become a man of mystery and substance again. You aren't just a name on a screen anymore. You're a man with a destination, and nothing is more attractive than a man who knows exactly where he is going with or without her. You have to understand a fundamental truth that most men ignore. Attraction is not a logical choice. It is a visceral, biological reaction. You cannot argue, reason, or negotiate a woman into feeling desire for you. You can't present a PowerPoint presentation of your best qualities and expect her heart to race. She doesn't respond to your resume. She responds to your groundedness. In a world that is loud, chaotic, and constantly shifting, she is looking for the man who is a solid rock. When she is emotional, when the world is stressful, or when things get tense between you two, she is subconsciously testing your foundation. If you crack, if you get defensive, or if you start panicking because she's acting distant, you have failed the test. You've shown her that your internal peace depends on her mood. True masculine energy is the ability to stand perfectly still and remain unshakable while the storm rages around you. It's the strength to hold space for her without collapsing into your own insecurities. This means you have to kill the urge to fill every silence or fix every single problem she mentions. Most men are terrified of a quiet moment because they feel they have to perform to keep her interested. They babble, they tell jokes, and they try to entertain because they are scared that if the noise stops, she'll realize they aren't enough. Stop doing that. There is immense power in being comfortable with silence. It shows that you are at peace with yourself and that you don't need to tap dance for her approval. When she brings you a problem, she often isn't looking for a mechanic. She's looking for a mountain. She wants to see if your presence can handle her chaos without you becoming chaotic yourself. When you stop trying to manage her emotions and start simply being a grounded force, you become the most attractive man she's ever met. You aren't a puzzle piece looking for its missing half. You are a complete, finished masterpiece. You must reach a point where you are already whole before she even enters the room. You aren't looking for a woman to complete you or to give your life a purpose. You already have those things. You are building a world that is vibrant, successful, and peaceful, and you are simply extending an invitation for her to step inside and enjoy it with you. This shift in perspective changes everything. You aren't a beggar at her door hoping for a scrap of her time. You are the host of a life worth living. When you invite her into your world rather than trying to force your way into hers, the power dynamic flips. You are no longer auditioning for the role of boyfriend. You are the lead in your own movie, and she is deciding if she wants to be the leading lady. The ultimate leverage, the secret sauce of high value men, is a genuine indifference to the outcome. This isn't about being cold, mean, or acting like you don't care. It's about the deep seated knowledge that if she stays, your life is great, and if she walks away, your life is still great. You have to be okay with her leaving. If you are terrified of her walking out the door, she will smell that fear on you like a foul scent, and it will kill her attraction instantly. But when she feels that you are solid, that your happiness is self generated, and that you won't compromise your path just to keep her around, she will feel a magnetic pull to stay. That indifference is the ultimate sign of a grounded man.